Welcome to the weekday update for October the 21st. Lots of things are happening in this building all week long, and it's been great to see the activity, keeping safe, keeping according to our standards that we've set, but lots of different groups, and including our youth group. So if you have a teenager and you haven't yet checked out the youth program at Bonavista Vista Baptist Church, make sure you get in touch with Eric McComish, our youth coordinator, and that's a fantastic program. I don't have a lot to tell you about today, but one thing I really want to promote, and that is our concert of prayer. This is happening on Tuesday, October the 27th, 7 p.m., right here at the church. We are opening up the sanctuary for about 50 people who might want to come. Otherwise, we're going to be live streaming the concert of prayer. Now, what is a concert of prayer? It's an opportunity for us to sing some worship songs. We're going to have a couple people on the platform who will lead us in prayer, and there will also be an opportunity for you to send in prayer requests. So it's an opportunity for us to focus together on intentional prayer during this particular season of our ministry together. So tune in for that. If you want to come to the sanctuary for that event, make sure you go to the website, you'll find the little button, and register before you come. So lots of other things happening. Check out the website for all of those details. Okay, we have a special segment for the next 5 or 6 weeks or so during our weekday update. I want to bring to you sticky songs. These are songs that are stuck in my head. Now, I'm not talking about songs in general. I want to narrow that down just a little bit. I want to talk especially about hymns. And when we talk about hymns, there's a wide range. So I'm actually going to narrow it down even further and talk about hymns that are a lot older, not current worship songs, but hymns that I grew up on, hymns that have formed and shaped my spiritual journey, certain hymns that were written for congregational singing when we still had the organ and still had those kind of things. They keep coming back. I keep hearing them in my head, and that's a good thing. Because they're usually quite robust theologically, and they have great music, and they still stir my soul. And so I'm going to share my top 5 that are stuck in my head, and I invite you to do the same. What are some of the hymns that are stuck in your head? And if you don't have a long history with the church and don't know a lot of older hymns, that's fine. You can post some of the newer songs. So send them to me at the end of this little 6-week stint. We're going to look at the top 5 for Bonavista Vista Baptist Church that are stuck in our heads, and maybe we'll sing a few of them. We'll talk to Pastor Samuel. Okay, let's get down to this. Song number 1 that stuck in my head and formed me spiritually and still does today. And Can It Be? And Can It Be by Charles Wesley, the great Methodist hymn writer. Charles Wesley was born in 1707 in England. And he lived until he was 80 years old. And he had a very famous brother, John Wesley, and the two of them together are credited with founding the Methodist movement. But Charles Wesley always saw himself as part of the Church of England, even till his dying day. Do you know that Charles Wesley wrote about 6,500 hymns, give or take a couple of hundred? That's a lot of writing. And a lot of those hymns we sing, we don't even know that they were his. And we sing especially at Christmas time and all throughout the season. A lot of them made their way into the Methodist hymn book, and a lot of them we still sing in the Baptist church today. It's funny to me that Charles Wesley was actually inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 1995. So almost 300 years after he was born, he was inducted to the Gospel Music Hall of Fame, and I think he deserves a place there. Well, John and Charles Wesley also had a time in America. In the 1700s, they were missionaries. And during that time in America as missionaries, they found that their mission failed. They actually had a really hard time, and there's a movie came out in 2003 that traces some of that journey. But one of the reasons why they felt their mission failed is that they realized that they themselves had no assurance of faith. They were telling others to believe in Christ, but they themselves struggled with a sense of assurance of faith. And that really came to light one day during a stormy voyage at sea, and on the boat there were a number of Moravians. We actually have a Moravian church not far from us. And John and Charles Wesley noted that in the middle of the storm, these Moravians had a deep sense of peace and trust, and they sang hymns, and they had this sense of assurance of faith that both John and Charles lacked. So that set them on a bit of a journey. And when we read Charles Wesley's journal, we read this entry on the 21st of May, 1738, Pentecost Sunday, and he said this. He was at a special meeting in Aldersgate near London, and he said he felt the Spirit of God striving with his spirit, till by degrees he chased away the darkness of my unbelief. I found myself convinced. I now found myself at peace with God and rejoiced in hope of loving Christ. He found assurance. And can it be, the hymn is his testimony of finding assurance of faith in Jesus Christ. I absolutely love verse 4 of the hymn. It says this, long my imprisoned spirit lay, fast bound in sin and nature's night. Thine eye diffused a quickening ray. I woke, the dungeon flamed with light. My chains fell off, my heart was free. I rose, went forth, and followed thee. That's the assurance of faith that Charles Wesley got at the Aldersgate experience in 1738. I think this hymn stands out to me for a number of reasons. Part of it is because in my younger experience as a young believer in Christ, I struggled with the assurance of faith. I struggled to know that I knew God, to have that assurance that God knows me. And so it's been a bit of a journey to come to that place of being able to say with assurance, the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. And so I love this hymn. I recommend it to you, especially if you're struggling with that sense of assurance of faith. It's interesting that that hymn makes a bit of a comeback in 2003, and we sing it again in the chorus of the song, You Are My King, sung by Chris Tomlin and the Newsboys and a number of other things. So there's number one on my list, And Can It Be by Charles Wesley. What's number one on your list?